It's a really hard pill to swallow, but sometimes the people who love us the most are the one who's sabotaging our own success. They basically make us small, and somehow they can actually keep us stuck. And it's one of the hardest things to admit because we've been taught that the people who love us automatically know what best for us. But love does not always mean understanding. We've been around them for like a long time and they love the version that they know about us. But like, imagine it this way. Imagine someone you know from childhood or like even someone you grew up with and you spend most of your time with. They will know everything about you. They know the old you, they know your habits, they know your fears and what you've been taught and how you used to live. And all of a sudden, let's say one day you got so sick of this life, like enough with that. You know, when you have it like this, like I cannot handle it anymore, and you want to change your current life or like improve it, and you came to them and say, I'm starting a business or I'm moving out, or even set a boundary and saying I'm not longer okay with this and this and this. What do you think their reaction will look like? Mind you, they know you from like your entire life. They basically memorize everything about you. Mostly they will reject it. And their objection might not be from hatred. It might not be because they hate you. It can it can be because they cannot picture you in that way. That's why they reject it basically. And I know this because I saw my aunt. She basically like spent her life and her husband building a house, like a big house for her children, because once they get older and they get married, they can be around her in this house. And she makes sure that everyone in this house will have an apartment with like his family, his or her family. She like have like boys and girls basically. So she have like this big plan of like having this big house with many apartments that can actually fit like an entire family for each one of them, so they can basically be around her and like we can live like this big family with each other all the time. And somehow she thought that she measured and like calculated like the whole matter very carefully, and her kids will live with her even when they got married and have many children. But guess what? No, they did not feel comfortable with that. They do not feel comfortable with that. When they grow up and they actually got married, they weren't feel comfortable with that. Unfortunately, it didn't go as she planned it to be. And they didn't feel basically comfortable with that. Not because they are ungrateful, but they basically did not want what she wanted. So she basically rejected that when they came and told her that. So she felt horrible about it. Love at this point can create a comfortable cage. My aunt said to one of like my nephews who wanted to move out, like one of the things that she said to them was like, do not take the risk, because they want to move to a big city and stuff like that. Do not take that risk. Why do you need to go there? You were okay back then here. She tried here to like protect him, but the problem is what protects you from pain can also protect you from growth. And because obviously moving to a big city means that he's going to develop more. He wanted to work on a specific things and he have to do it in like in this like city. But she rejected it because, what do you mean I built all of that for you and now you're going to move out? The people that you love definitely have fears, and their fears can become your limit. Your mother is afraid of something, your father is afraid of something else, your friend is afraid of something, and while sitting around with them and hearing them speaking about these things, you start looking at these fears as fact. So you basically took someone else's fear, okay, and keep it within yourself as a fact. But it's just a fear of someone else. It's not actually yours. So it's going to create like this limiting belief. That's why I believe that limiting beliefs are just other people's fear. It's not actually yours. And your mother can say something like, she can say that this is dangerous, or you don't have no future if you go to this path, or you have no future if you did this thing. But you're not going to understand it as like she actually cared about you, or you're going to understand it that I actually scared for you. You're going to understand it as this is dangerous. It's going to ruin your life. So you might not do it, and you can spend your entire life avoid it, and it can actually give you the most amazing life you can ever think of. Just because she's afraid of this specific thing and have this limiting belief about it, and because of the repetition, you hear this limiting belief, and it creates now a fear within yourself about it. So you're not going to ever do it. But you just took someone else's fear and you put it within yourself as a fact because, the repetition. And now you have this limiting belief and you're not going to do this thing at all. But your life might change 100% after it, like to the better. But now you have like this destroyed image about it, so you might not take that path. Another person's feelings are not necessarily a data about your future, because guess what? Nobody knows what is going to happen to you. And once you start seeing the world through their fears, you do not just become afraid of like the things that they are afraid of. You start choosing the life that keeps you safe from them. They might love your comfort more than your potential, because the version of you that stays safe and familiar and like predictable is easier to protect than the version of you that's constantly changing. They basically love the version of you they know, because they know how to handle this version. But when you change, there's going to be a boundaries. And when the boundary came in, your relationship with them is going to change. So their expectation of you are going to change. And sometimes you yourself become less controllable or predictable. And that change might be uncomfortable for everyone. You change, okay? And you put these boundaries with them. So their relationship change. Okay, they're not going to do the same things that they used to do with you anymore. And now you realize how like they don't like that change, so you are uncomfortable with them and they are uncomfortable with you as well. But here is the part that makes this complicated. They might not be trying to hold you back at all. They might generally believe in you, but they are trying to protect you from like something. They might have like lived through things that taught them to value stability over risk. And that does not make them wrong or like bad. It just means that they are looking at your future through the life they have lived, okay? They are looking at your future through the life that they have lived. Sometimes the people who really love you can actually have a perspective, and you might need to hear it, but listen and hear them out, but do not obey, okay? You can hear like their opinions, obviously, and take what's actually useful from like these opinions that they are telling you about. Take what's useful from it and decide for yourself. Decide what you're going to do next, but do not obey. Because at the ending, they have to live with their fears and you have to live with your choices. And that's exactly why this is so difficult. Because sometimes the people who love you can give you like the perfect advice that makes like the perfect sense. And you can still choose something extremely different. You can understand why they are afraid for you without letting their fear decide for you. And sometimes choosing your own life means disappointing them, which is, this is life. This is life. This is going to happen. You're going to discover along the way that you disappointed one of the people that you love, and it's extremely fine. You have to disappoint people to become yourself. That's how sometimes you know that you are doing great. That's how that sometimes, like, you know that you actually doing it perfectly by disappointing people. And even if the one that you actually love the most, not because you did not love them anymore, but because, like, you finally realize that being loved does not mean being understood in every decision that you've made. Because you cannot build your life around other people's comfort. If every decision in your life requires everyone's approval, then who is living this life? Is it you or them? It's your own life. The people who love you are not necessarily trying to keep you small, okay? Sometimes they're just trying to keep you, familiar. And there is a difference. There's a difference, okay? Because you can love someone so deeply and still outgrow the version of you they were like comfortable with. You don't have to like stop loving them. You just have to stop letting their fear become your future. This is your own life. It goes back to you. You're going to live it. You're going to live with these choices. So basically, do not let other people decide for you. Thanks for watching.